are always good readers, and I was never a good reader. As a matter of fact, I never liked reading. So, fast forward to the 6th grade where they were diagramming sentences. Does anyone remember diagramming sentences? The architecture of sentences in colored chalk. That got me interested in words, because words could be switched around, and when you switched them around, meanings switched around, and I really loved that. Fast forward to New York City, where I was a punk rocker, it's true, in a band called Coma Teens. We got that from a New York Post headlines, Coma Teens Wake. And someone approached me and said, "Are you a writer?" And I said yes, thinking they were talking about songwriting, but they weren't. They were talking about magazine writing. And she said, "Well, my sister is the editor of Rockline magazine and she needs a writer." So I said, okay, because my mother always said, if someone asks you to tap dance, you should tap dance. And so I did. I tap danced my way into being a magazine writer. Fast forward to my friend Pops Peterson, who actually went to Columbia University as a journalist. And one day he said to me, "You're making $35 for one article. You are a professional writer." I have to interject here that he said, "You need a typewriter, you need a dictionary, and you need a thesaurus." And I didn't want any of those, because I said, well, what I do is I take a yellow legal pad and I write my story, and then I walk from West 85th Street to West 57th Street, where I then type it up on the office typewriter with 2 fingers. And that takes me all day. And that's besides writing the story and doing all the research. And then my editor goes, "Ramona, you have a good start, but everything else is not good." And then she starts slashing it to pieces, and then I have to rewrite it for $35. Okay, fast forward to somebody taking me into a closet and giving me $10,000 cash to write a book about his cousin. So this person was Tony Bon Jovi, and his cousin, John Bon Jovi. So I wrote the first biography on John Bon Jovi, runaway superstar. And I got a couple of fan letters, and one of them said, "Best book I ever read, it only took one visit to the bathroom." That's how to judge a novel. Fast forward to somebody asking me to, again, "Am I a writer?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, I am the editor of Playgirl magazine, and I need someone to write erotic literature." And so of course I say, okay, tap dancing again. But unfortunately my sex life was not that adventurous. So I think I only squeezed out 1 or 2 articles before they said, "Not exciting enough." Fast forward to moving upstate, where I became a contractor. Oh yes, working on $1 million homes in Lou Beach. And that led to me working for the River Reporter as a special editor to Our Country Home. Am I right? Is Lori here? Do I have it? Yes, is it Our Country Home? Okay. No memory. So then, okay, wait, I have to look at my notes here. Oh, so this is the point of the story. Fast forward to a bakery in Roscoe where I was asked to, I was asked to do some sound because I was a sound engineer, and the sound was for a storytelling group that was organized by a psychotherapist. And I basically said, well, I'll do the sound if I can tell my story. And she very begrudgingly agreed to that. And the theme was baggage. And it was a packed house, which frightened the psychotherapist very much, to the point where she said, "I will never do this again." And that's when I said, "Well, do you mind if I do it?" And she said, "No, go ahead." And that's how Yarnslingers was born. The name is 150 years old. I consulted a librarian. It's an old cowboy term for people who tell stories. So I've been the volunteer director for over 10 years of the group, and as Lori pointed out, welcome all levels. In all of this time, I never considered myself a writer, except for one day when I was walking to the post office in Calhoun, and one of the editors from the Sullivan County Democrat said, "Oh, hey Ramona, do you have a few writing samples you could send us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And so I did. I sent a few writing samples, and next thing you know, they asked me, did I want to be a columnist? I said, well, what does that entail? They said, well, you have to do like a column it's not reporting. You have to do a column every week. And I'm like, oh, I can't think of that. I can't do that much. How about every other week? And he said, okay. And then a day later, I called up, and I didn't want anyone to take my place. So I was like, no, I will do it every week. I will do it. So that's how I became a columnist. And then one day somebody asked me what you do for a living. I said, oh, I'm a writer. So I want to thank all my loyal readers to my column. I also want to thank my husband and daughter and all my friends who have to listen to the various edits of my stories. I especially want to thank the other storytellers, the Yarnslingers, who have been with me for years, all the years, and that make Yarnslingers wonderful. And speaking of that, one of them wrote something that he said I have to read because I have no memory, and it's very important. So I will read this small paragraph. Although my attention is focused first and foremost on my journey back to health, I remain committed to Yarnslingers. Yarnslingers will continue to provide a platform for writers to tell true and fantastic stories to communities along both sides of the Delaware River Valley. In fact, we are partnering with the Wayne County Arts Alliance for a reading in Homesdale on October 1st, and with the Delaware Valley Arts Alliance in Narrowsburg on November 19th. And I will mention as the last thing that we have t-shirts, which are normally $25, are on sale today for $20 over there. All right, thank you very much.